What up, there? Welcome back to another one of our streams. Today, we are going to be doing a now spinning stream. As you can see from the title, we're going to be reacting to Drake and PARTYNEXTDOOR's newly released album, Some Sexy Songs for You. It has been long rumored and long talked about. Drake has been mentioning and alluding to this releasing for quite a while now. And people have also been wanting a joint project from them pretty much since Party kind of first popped onto the scene. They thought this would have been basically a foregone conclusion, but here we are. We got it finally, following up obviously right after the whole kind of Kendrick Lamar debacle and Kendrick Lamar's kind of whole Super Bowl run and everything else. After that, he shortly, dropped this and basically following, I think he's maybe still on tour, but either following or towards the tail end of his current tour, Anita Maxwell tour, over there in Australia. So needless to say, there's a lot going on in Drake's life and Drake's career, and it is a very interesting kind of sort of crossroads in terms of where he can go musically, what else there left for him to do, how is he going to bounce back and possibly respond to kind of Kendrick Lamar's continued run and dancing all over his, not grave, but definitely hospital bed, to say the least. Like, he definitely did some damage to Drake's reputation and just kind of his whole image amongst like the industry and fans in general. And it's like all eyes are on Drake at this point because people want to see how is he going to come back. Is he going to say something? Is he going to respond? Is this beef going to continue? Is he going to kind of try to move on from this? So, a lot of people have been interested to see how he bounced back. And obviously the first offering of music since that is Drake and PARTYNEXTDOOR. I have heard some things, on social media and people kind of just discussing it, but I have not heard any of the songs. So I'm very excited myself to see exactly how he kind of comes back, and like if this is the one, if this is the tape that is going to kind of put him back in the position, not only from a numbers standpoint, just from a cultural standpoint in people's overall opinion of him. I have some reservations about that, but I am interested to see kind of how things go. So without further ado, let's just kind of get right into it. Like I said, Drake, PARTYNEXTDOOR, new album, Some Sexy Songs for You. Let's go. Let's check this out. Track number 1, CN Tower. I mean, this is obviously PARTYNEXTDOOR as a kind of co-partner on this project. I fully expected this to basically be a more R&B Drake, more of like the singing, soft, love, emotional Drake that a lot of people have come to know, and it's always been kind of one half of his musical persona in general. So like, I was not surprised to hear him come out singing like the way he is doing. I never thought that this was the right direction for him to take, especially after the battering that he took from this past year. I think he should have just gone away completely and just put out his best music and come back with like the hardest, hard-hitting, just put out straight hits. But this is the choice he decided to make, so I'm not really surprised to see him kind of getting back into his singing R&B kind of bag. And depending on kind of what side of the coin you stand in terms of like him singing, you're probably like this or not. This is very kind of typical for him. Like, this isn't like wholly different from anything that I've heard from him. This is very much in his lane. Okay, I mean, that's the intro, coming in a very similar manner to pretty much everything that I've heard from Drake in terms of R&B and kind of like the bag that he has kind of when it comes to that kind of aspect. It's also very reminiscent to kind of early Drake when he was like really heavy on like the R&B and kind of trying to discover sound and that type of lane. It's definitely reminiscent more of that than some of his like, more recent kind of work. And I've never been the biggest PARTYNEXTDOOR fan, but I do recognize his appeal to people, why people do kind of like him and appreciate his music. But I do think these two together sound extremely well. I think that they have like this type of energy and chemistry that brings out kind of the best of them when it comes to like these type of songs. So, I'm not mad at it. It's very minimal production, very melodramatic, very melancholic, like kind of that whole sad boy emo situationship singing R&B Drake that we've all come to know and pretty much expect at this point. He's not changing things up. He's not really going in a different lane, but he's giving you kind of like he's feeding the fans pretty much what they come to expect and want from him. So like, it's a cool song. It's cool. Like, I actually enjoyed it. I think it was a vibe. It's just nothing that's like going to drastically kind of change my opinion about him one way or another. I just think it's more Drake so far. Let's keep this going. Track number 2, Mothballs. Like I said, very reminiscent of almost like Take Care kind of era Drake with this kind of sound, this very low key, super dramatic kind of R&B sound. But as much as Drake and PARTYNEXTDOOR sound kind of good together, I do think his choice in this particular song, kind of probably in general, and probably this whole project, is I would have wanted more Party, because I think Party's voice and vocals and delivery just sounds so much better on these types of songs than Drake. Obviously, Drake does his thing. He has his lane. Like, he's had success kind of doing this style of music, but I think Party is just so much better at it than him, especially when it comes to vocals, especially when it comes to the feel of the song. So I was really kind of hoping it'd be more like 70% Party, 30% Drake, but it seems to kind of be the other way around. Like, Drake is doing his whole, you know, verses and everything, and then Party's having his little interjections, which is a nice breakup from what we are getting here. But I would have much preferred a much heavier dose of PARTYNEXTDOOR than Drake on these songs. Just my opinion. Like, again, I actually like Drake. I actually do. Like, as much fun as it has been to shit on him, or at least join in on the shitting of him of this entire year and kind of watch him get a little bit of his comeuppance and, you know, whatever. Like, I really enjoyed the competition. I enjoyed everything that happened from this beat, but I actually am a fan of Drake. I actually do like his music. I have all his music in my phone, and it's kind of like I've listened to pretty much everything that he's put out. The issue, one of my main issues that I have with this current kind of form of Drake, is that he is still singing and rapping and speaking about the exact same things that he was talking about like damn near 20 years ago. Like, I get it. Like, this is your lane. This is like your writing style. This is what you like to kind of discuss, but you're almost 40 years old. Like, how much longer are we going to continue to listen to you have these situationships and people doubting you? Like, you're literally talking in past tense about how you used to have to worry about bills like you're from Buffalo. Bro, you've been rich for almost 2 decades now. That is a long foregone issue for you, that it's weird to kind of hear you still harping on about that. Like, you've been rich for damn near half your life at this point. Like, when are we getting some growth? When are we getting some evolution? When are we going to get you speaking about things that maybe in a little bit more mature manner? Like, I get it. You're still kind of singing and talking to the youth and the younger crowd and younger audience, but like, you still have a large fan base of people that have basically grown up with you. And like, it's weird to kind of hear you still harping on these same goddamn things over and over and over again. You're almost 40. We get it. Growth is okay. Again, cool song. Like, I get it. I actually enjoy this song. It's very much in his lane. It's very reminiscent of like his older style, some of his older songs. Like, he's done this kind of version of song many times again. Like, he's good at this. Party's good at this. Like, they sound good on these types of songs. It's just my main issue is that, like, how many times are we going to continue to hear these same issues, these same topics in your music over and over and over and over again? Like, I'm not saying there is an age limit to have these problems, but damn, like, some growth would be nice. And it always brings you back to the point where like Jay-Z was rapping about things when he was getting more mature, and Drake had something to say like, oh, you're not relating to the youth, you're not like people who don't get what you're saying. Like, yeah, but there is still an audience of his fans and listeners that do understand what he's saying and that do grow with them. And like, I find him in a crossroads in terms of like, where do you want to go? What's your future music going to sound like? What is the latter half of your career going to be? Because it cannot continue to only be rapping about these things or singing about these issues. And it's just like, all right, cool. It's Drake. Like, it's Drake. That's basically what I can say. Track number 3, Something About You. like I said, more party, less Drake. Please, more party, less Drake. He sounds so much better on these songs than Drake. As much as Drake does his thing on a lot of these type of songs, we've heard a variation of this 100 times over at this point. And when Party hops on these songs, whenever Party has the interjections in these first 3 songs, like it just immediately elevates the quality of the song to another level. And like more Party would have been a much better decision to me. Another one. It's cool, like it's a decent song, not a bad song. I've not heard like one song so far. I'm like, oh, this shit sucks. Like, it's bad. It's just very one note, very monotonous, very samey. It just feels very reminiscent of songs and styles and sounds that we've heard from Drake and Party throughout the entirety of their career. It's nothing that's like attention grabbing, which is shocking considering everything that has happened to Drake at this point. You'd think you'd want to come out the gate swinging extremely hard and aggressively with new music that is going to change the tone and the mood and the opinion and just the conversation in general of everything surrounding him, but it's not. I feel like this is type of music that is going to be here and gone. Like, I think it's going to reach the crowd and audience that like this type of stuff and that you already have in the bag, and I don't think it's going to change their opinions one way or another, but I don't think it's going to reach other people who might have been like looking at you a little bit differently about after everything happened and like really change their opinion. Like, oh yeah, he's back. So far it just feels like, yeah, it's more Drake. Let's keep this going. Track number 4, Crying in Chanel. I mean, at least on this song, the production is a little bit harder hitting. The drums are coming in a little stronger. It's got a little bit more energy and bounce to it. Like, I'm feeling this one so far. This is cool. This is cool. Oh, I bet it's been a long day. It's been a long year, my guy. A long day. That is the understatement of the year. I bet this shit has been the longest year of your entire career. Like, a long day. I think you need more than a drink. Again, cool song. Probably my favorite song of these first kind of 4 songs that we've heard so far. A little bit more upbeat, a little bit more bounce to it. It had a nice little kind of beat switch up at the end there. I think that, you know, his vocals sounded decent for as auto-tuned as they were. I don't think the subject matter is any different than what we've kind of come to expect and know from him. But, you know, this is basically just Drake at this point. You know what you're getting, and he's going to deliver what you know what you're getting. Like, he is easily one of the most, I don't know, consistent, reliable kind of artist out there these days, because you know exactly the type of sound, the type of music, the type of vibe that you're going to get from it, and he's going to deliver it. Typically always at, you know, a high kind of quality, but you know exactly what you're getting. It's not that surprising anymore of the stuff that he does. It's just, it is what it is. And like I said, so far this one's probably my favorites out of these first 4 that I've heard. Let's keep going. Track number 5, Spider-Man, Superman. Yes, I always love a nice kind of acoustic guitar with some sweet sounding little arpeggios going on in the background. Like, R&B acoustic guitar just go hand in absolute hand, especially on like these more slowed cuts, and like it just delivers a certain vibe and feel that I don't think is utilized enough. So I'm already liking the intro. Maybe it's an electric guitar, but either way, guitar, R&B can be perfect. Bruh. He'll never beat the allegations of him being an ultimate kind of simp, because let's be real, like saying I wish I could save you, like Captain Save a Hoe is in full effect in Drake, and like he's always been accused of that throughout his career, and it's not really an allegation that he ever has seemed to fight or even want to push back against, because he's always out there talking about how he wants to save girls, particularly strippers. He loves strippers, and he has this fascination about wanting to save them and turn them into, you know, housewives or whatever. Like, that just seems to be kind of the flow that he's always been on. And to see him at 40 years old still talking about, girl, I wish I could save you, it's like, come on, bro. Like, you still out here saving those, bro? Like, still nothing's changed? Nothing? All right. Even that little like kind of piano, whatever, I don't know if that's reverb, whatever kind of effect they have on that piano just brings me back to Take Care. Like, a lot of this production, a lot of this sounds very reminiscent of like Take Care and kind of like those earlier type of productions and like R&B kind of stylings that he was using back in the day. Like, it is kind of cool to kind of see him tap back into that kind of sound. But like, again, like, we've heard some version of this before. Like, he's very much in that bag. And, you know, if depending on kind of what level of fan you are, maybe you're liking this, maybe you're digging this. It's just like, damn, I was like expecting something new, expecting something like eye-opening. Like, this is a cool song. I like this song. I love the guitars. I love the production. It's just like, I've been here. We've all been here already. Yes. What song is that? That is from Take Care 1000%. That whole kind of that like synth or whatever modulation they have on that piano going on right there. The Real Her. I knew it. Like, that sounds directly ripped from The Real Her. And I mean, maybe it's an homage, a nod to that, which was obviously one of my favorite songs from that kind of time period of his career. But like, yeah, like I said, like I've been saying, like, this sounds like stuff we've already heard from Drake. Like, this whole kind of feel and sound of this album so far feels like Take Care, kind of like leftovers, like straight up. It's kind of weird, but I like it. But also I'm like, I've heard this. Yeah, like, it's a cool song. I like the song. It just feels like I've heard a song or a version of this, but in a much better manner. And I'm not surprised to see that it is sampling The Real Her directly, because I was like, that sounds so goddamn familiar that have I heard a version of this? Yeah, and it almost feels like a remix or continuation. And it's just weird considering Take Care. When did Take Care come out? 2011. So yeah, 14 years later, we're still getting this sound, or seeing him revisit is kind of weird. I've never enjoyed artists kind of going back to their first sounds or albums and trying to bring it back like over a decade later. But here we are. Let's keep going. Track number 6, Deeper. I mean, I've said it. I think Party just sounds so much better on these types of songs than Drake. The same way I thought Weeknd sounded so much better on those songs than Drake back in the Take Care days. I just think Party Next Door should have been a much bigger inclusion on this album. I know he gets first billing on the official release of this album, but if you look at the track listing, like, this is a Drake album with occasional kind of like insertions of Party Next Door. This is a Drake album. I don't know if he did that to kind of like skirt around UMG and kind of like the back and forth lawsuit beef that they're kind of having, because you know they wouldn't be happy with him kind of releasing and might even try to block it. So maybe that's just a way of kind of getting around that whole kind of situation that he has with this label. But when I see Party Next Door and Drake and you put Party first, like, I'm expecting this to be a heavy Party album, but like what we're getting right now is not it. But like I said, like, Party just sounds so much better on these songs to me, and I would have done with a much heavier kind of involvement from his friend. Like 70% Party, 30% Drake would have been perfect for me. Even 60-40, like the split should not have been what it is right now, because Party kills these types of songs and it's like pretty much his bag. And like, honestly, just give me a Party album. I'm gonna just be honest, just give me the straight up Party album. I mean, that was a dope song. That was a super dope song. And like I said, Party just sounds so much better on there than Drake. Let's just be honest. Like, this should have been a Party album, and it just reminds me of the shot that Joe Budden had when they kind of had their whole back and forth, pretty much one-sided back and forth. But when he said basically we want the party album, but you're too busy putting party, whatever that line he kind of said to kind of go at Drake and like kind of alluding to him holding back Party Next Door so they can use party shit on his own album. This is what it reminds me of. This is the vibe that I'm getting, because why are we not just getting a straight up party album? Like, Party just sounds so much better on these songs than you, Drake. I'm sorry, like, you do your thing as well, but he just sounds better on it, and this should have been a much heavier party involvement than what we're getting. Hold on, just lost connection, so trying to get that back. All right, we're back. Lost internet connection. Finally got it back, but we're back. We're connected. We're gonna finish this album out. Like I was speaking, we just finished reacted to track number 6, Deeper. So let's keep this moving. Track number 7, Small Town Fame. Let's go. All right, some little pop artists, pop star kind of bars. Feel like Tate McRae, obviously a rising kind of pop star on her own, and then put the X on her tongue. Feel like Charlie. She had a Brad Summers talking about Charlie XCX, who had her album Brat from last year, and much was discussed about that, and much loved project that turned into a kind of trend, saying we're all having a Brad Summers. So like some okay, decent wordplay, nothing crazy. Like, honestly, out of this whole tape, he hasn't really had any crazy bars or lyricism or punchlines or anything. Like, you got some witty stuff. This is witty a little bit, but nothing crazy. Again, like, it's just like, I was expecting more. Song's okay. It's okay. Again, typical kind of Drake fare. He wasn't really doing his R&B thing this time. He was actually rapping. He was getting some bars off, but it wasn't like nothing crazy. Like, nothing's been like, wow, he's back. Wow, he's reinvigorated. Wow, he's coming for the throne again. Like, it's just like, oh, this is Drake. This is typical Drake. The bars ain't really that crazy. He had some wordplay, but nothing that's like mind blowing. It's just like, yeah, more Drake for Drake fans. Let's keep this going. Track number 8, Pimmy's Dilemma. You know what this kind of tape reminds me of? Like More Life. It's kind of reminds me of More Life, where he also gave little songs and instances to other artists, and this seems to be also what he's doing here. Pimmy, I think that's how you say her name, whatever, I'm not really sure, but it seems to be like one of those interlude tracks where you're giving an artist, an up-and-coming artist, the chance to basically shine and like leave a mark. I'm pretty sure he did it for Georgia Smith, he did it for Yebba, he did it for other people, and like, it's dope to see. That's one aspect of Drake that I actually am a fan of, is that he will give shine and spotlight and, position to other artists that he thinks are dope, and like allow them room on certain projects to kind of get their shit off. And like, that's exactly what he's doing here. Again, I like guitars with R&B production, this kind of soulful, vibey kind of feel. And I think her vocals are shrunk. Like, this is a look. This is a good look for him. This is a good look for her. And I think like this is also going to bring further attention to who she is as an artist, which is very, very dope. And again, one aspect of Drake that I actually love and am a big fan of that he does is he reaches out and he puts people on to a certain degree. And like, he's doing that here once again. Like I said, pretty much one of those kind of interlude tracks that he's kind of known for and that he's done throughout his entire career, especially on like these more kind of side projects, is he's given a track and room for like an up and coming artist to kind of like show off and display their talents and abilities to the world. And like, this is one of those times, and I think it's a dope little interlude. I think that she sounds really good. I think production was smooth. I love the guitars. I love everything about this. And like, again, one of my favorite aspects of what Drake does is when he puts people on, and he's doing that here. Once again, let's keep this going. Track number 9, Brian Still. Okay, so I was kind of wondering, I looked it up. Brian Still is Young Thug's lawyer, who got him obviously off at that absolutely insane kind of plea deal. Basically scot-free, not scot-free, but he got probation, but pretty much scot-free in terms of what he could have been facing. So using Young Thug's lawyer in the title of this is also, nice little nod to Thug and like kind of appreciating him for kind of standing by his side throughout this whole kind of, again, this whole battle that he's been in this past year. Thug is one of those artists who stood by his side, who's been supporting him, who's publicly basically like shouted him out on multiple instances. And, you know, seems like Drake is kind of paying that kindness back by mentioning him. In this one, he said Thug told him to put all the beef to the side. I can't. I mean, the beef kind of put you to the side, so maybe you should listen to Thug and just kind of let that shit go. Now, Thug was talking about kind of between Drake and Future and Metro Boomin, which, you know, out of any kind of back and forth, any part of this kind of beef, year-long beef that has been happening, I think that is one that is the most likely to kind of be resolved and see them coming back together at some point in the future and making music again. But right now, Drake is clearly not in that kind of mood, forgiving mood, and, you know, rightfully so, because they basically jump-started this whole shit with Like That and set off a bomb. Now, you fell into the trap and the bait and took it, you know, hook, line, and sinker, but they were kind of the catalyst between everything that has happened this past year. And he's literally saying like, yo, I ain't ready to let this shit go. And I ain't mad at him for saying that, but he might want to think about it in the future, because you don't want to cut yourself off from Atlanta either, because as Kendrick was kind of right about that, Atlanta has kept you very hot in these streets for quite a while.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Let's look at these. Let's look at these lyrics. I'm heated now. No, I'm vegan now. I believe that's what he was saying. Let's see. Drake. Look up these lyrics real quick for Brian Steele. Let's bring this to my other window. Yeah, so the Young Thug line was big page reaching, done freed up the slime. Oh shit, broski just hit me, said put all the beef on the side. I can't. So that was the Young Thug kind of like trying to reconcile things and saying you can't. N-words, want to meet up, talk about shit. I'm vegan now, for real. People want to meet up, talk about shit. I'm vegan now, basically saying like he don't want beef. Is that what he's saying? I'm vegan now. Is that him saying people want to reconcile, people want to like link up, talk about things, but I'm avoiding all the beef, I'm avoiding all the bullshit, I'm avoiding pretty much anything and everything dealing with the industry at this point? Is that what he's saying? I'm vegan now, I don't want beef? It sounds like you tapping out. Are you saying you done with the beef? You're off that. You don't want beef no more. You don't want the problems, but you're not really, but you're also not ready to set differences aside. Like that's kind of a confusing kind of flip there. Like Doug hit me up saying, let's put this shit to the side. You're like, you can't, but then people want to meet up, but I'm vegan now. Like you don't want beef. Like I'm not really getting that line, but let's rewind that. I just want to meet up, but I'm vegan now. I don't know. Shout out Brian Steele, lawyer of Young Thug. We leaving now. Again, shouting out Brian Steele, Young Thug, his whole situation. Seems to be like his bro, one of his only bros in the industry right now. I got plaques like I haven't been brushing my teeth. Come on, that's a mid-ass bar. I expect so much more from Drizzy Drake, the boy. People been saying he's got the pen, he's got the lyricism, he got that. It's just like he ain't got no ghostwriters. But from what I'm hearing so far, lyrically at least on this project, it has been extremely weak. Probably some of the weakest stuff that he's been putting out in quite a while. Like he hasn't really had anything worth of note to kind of talk about, discuss lyrically. And then he comes with like punchlines and bars like, I got plaques like I haven't been brushing my teeth. Like that shit is trash. That was a trash bar. It's just not hitting the same like it once did. I'm sorry. 25 deep when they walk me out because too many pussies been fucking with me. So you saying you're rolling extra deep right now because everybody coming at your neck, everybody's like taking shots. I don't know. Doesn't really sound like a tough guy like he probably thinks that sounded. So this was kind of his first taste of him on this project, kind of switching things up and getting back more into that rap kind of lyrical bag that, you know, he's also capable of getting. This is a more purely hip hop rap song and it don't really hit. I mean, the beat is fine. The beat is decent. Like at this point in his career, I expect all of his beats to sound and be pretty well produced and have some sort of quality to it. If not, even though it does feel a bit samey once again to stuff that we've already heard from him, but his lyricism and wordplay on this one is trash. Let's just be honest, like very basic elementary rhymes and lyrics and flips and punchlines. And it's just like, it's not at the level that I would expect for somebody who just got shit on for an entire year. I expected him to come back so much harder than this, and this is all he's got. Guys want to meet up, but I'm vegan now. Got so many plaques like I've been brushing my teeth. Those are the best lines you got? Really? After all of this, that's the best? I'm not feeling that. I'm not feeling this song right now. Very weak lyricism. Keep this going. Track number 10, give me a hug. All right. So he seems to be trying to get into that lyrical kind of bag that I want to see from him. Like it sounds like he's doing one of those 3 a.m. kind of type of beats, very soulful, very open, letting him kind of spit and get shit off his chest. That seems to be kind of what he's doing. So like I really want to pay attention and see if he's lyrically getting busy or not, or just saying a bunch of shit. Let's go. I mean, he seems to be kind of like, you know, giving himself a pep talk, which, you know, he might need at this moment. Actually, he does need at this moment because people been going crazy. Like he needs this little pep talk. Drizzy, you amazing. You the inspiration. You set the bar for the next generation. Like I ain't mad at it. Sometimes you need a little pep talk. You need to look at yourself in the mirror like, nah, I'm still that guy. I'm still nice. Like you still have value. You inspired the next generation, which is true. That's not a lie. You absolutely did. So like, you know, sometimes you just gotta look at yourself in the mirror and pick yourself up. And this seems to be what he's doing right now. Like I'm not mad at it. Like if you need to, you need to. And it's and after everything that's he's been through, he definitely needs this. All right, let's keep this going. Run this back a little bit. All right, a lot to break down there. You Neo in the Matrix? No, that's false because I don't remember Neo after becoming Neo. Well, actually, I take that back. He could be actually spitting a little bar here because Neo at first does get his ass whooped by Agent Smith, which, you know, in this situation might be like a Kendrick Lamar because he thinks Kendrick Lamar is part of the industry and everything that is going up against him at this moment. So maybe he's saying he's fighting the system, got his ass whooped. He had to be sacrificed, but he's going to make his big return like Neo did, spoiler alert, at the end of the first one and you know, became the one. So maybe that's what we're discussing, even though he's as industry as anybody in this whole entire situation, but could be a bar there. Niggas just Nemo in the ocean, small fish making kids feel emotion. Can't be talking about Kendrick Lamar because he's far from Nemo. And like, yeah, he did make people feel some sort of emotion. Like, wouldn't call him Nemo. Using you for promotion. Truer words have never been been spoken from. Yeah, I mean, you were definitely free promotion. I'm not gonna lie, like, but that is the whole second side aspect of beef and rap battles and history in the historical context of the culture to say, yes, you're also free promotion. Like, I'm using your name and burying you and getting absolute fame. Like, it's like what's his name? Shang Tsung. Like, he kills a person and takes his souls and adds his collection. Like, he just offed your career or tried to off your career and is slowly taking your fame, your credibility, your attention, and bring it to himself. Like, that is very much an aspect of hip hop. Like, there can only be one Highlander type of situation. Like, okay, yeah, I can hear you there. Sure, it's never spoken. Niggas want to see RP rip me on a t-shirt like I'm Hulk Hogan. Nope, that was a whack bar. I'm sorry. I appreciate the fans rock with me. This is really just small toast. Like, okay, talking about the people that stood by his side of fans and like acknowledging them. So far, decent. Kind of a weak response to everything that's been happening, but decent. Only reason I ain't got a girl and I ain't getting married because I'm really out here filling up the itinerary. I don't think that's the only reason you ain't getting that girl and you ain't getting married, but you are one of the most active artists out there in the entire industry. That is a fact. You tour, you concert, you drop albums, you do projects, you release music. You are very active. Like, this is your life. Music and hip hop is your life. But Kendrick also said that in the back and forth. Like, he literally said, y'all think I just sit around and hip hop is my life? No, I raise my kids. I spend time with my family. Hip hop is just a part of it, but it's not everything. Whereas for you, it's clearly everything. It seems to be where you get your confidence, where you get your identity, where you get your self-worth, which is why you probably stay as busy as you do. Like, you know, and you are somebody an artist who I never actually see ever getting married. But yeah. Interesting. This is a very interesting song. Very interesting. I'm just going to run this back from the top. We're going to give it a full list and we might break it down later, but let's run this shit from the top. Let's go. All right. That's a funny line. That is a funny ass line. I'll give him that. That was funny. If I die, these N-words it's these N-words that become the so beneficial. Basically saying, like, if my career dies, then he's basically the top dog in the game. And what are they gonna do with it? They gonna have girls at 29 on stage twerking with a dictionary, basically saying you're gonna be spitting all these complex rhymes that nobody wants to hear. He's basically going down that same kind of route that he did at the beginning of all this. Like, what are you gonna do? Your shit's too deep, too complex. You rapping like you trying to feed the slaves, which backfired on him spectacularly. But it's pretty much been a point of criticism for him towards Kendrick basically since the whole beginning of this. But to see him kind of like once again allude to this and kind of tap back into the beef again, even though he said he's done beefing and he's done doing this, but he's going back at him again. Like, are we gonna get around to? I doubt it. But one aspect of this that he's very clearly avoiding is actually saying his name, not saying the boogeyman's name. That is an interesting point right there. Like, why aren't you actually saying his name? Like, you're being really bold right now, but you won't say his name. Huh. Interesting. Dirk's boy told me Marvin's Room was his favorite song. He was chilling to it. I mean, again, Kendrick Lamar was also on Marvin's Room, so is that a little sneak diss once again to him? I don't know. What? Melissa Ford catching strays now? Melissa Ford, non-rapper, former video vixen, music video vixen. Melissa Ford, now Joe Budden co-host. Is he talking about Joe Budden being a sucker? Is that who he's talking about? Melissa Ford catching a stray from Toronto? Melissa Ford? This dude will beef with anybody but the guy who just smacked him around for a year straight. A year straight. And now you're going at Melissa Ford. Can't make this shit up. Cannot make this shit up.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
You can't talk all of that shit that you just did, all those sneak disses to Kendrick Lamar and alluding to the beef and everything, and then be like, fuck a rap beef, I'm trying to get the party lit. And then talk about walking the strip club, miss you hoes, give me a hug. Bro, you never beating the Drake is corny memes or allegations ever. Like, just a straight up cornball. And again, I like Drake. I like his music, but he is so goddamn corny sometimes. It's hard. It's hard to listen to him and rap all this tough guy shit after everything that just happened. What did Kendrick say? Keep waving your hands, making you dance, won't be no problems. We like the something Drake. We don't like the tough guy. Like, you can't talk tough no more after what just happened, after what you just let happen for an entire year straight, after you just filed a lawsuit over a song, over a diss song. You can no longer talk tough, my guy. So it's kind of crazy to hear you say shit like, yeah, they be dropping shit, but we drop harder shit. Really? I mean, I don't know about that. He did just win 5 Grammys. He did just perform it at the Super Bowl and have an entire stadium yelling along with the song. That must have been some pretty hard shit. Like, I don't know. It was the biggest song of last year. You can't really use that line now. Like, again, this is what I'm saying. Like, you cannot come back and try to rewrite the history of what just happened. This shit is in the history books. Like, this is part of hip hop history, like a major part. He did shit that no rapper had ever done. He won 5 Grammys. He won 5 for 5. He won rap. He won Song of the Year. Never been done by a rapper. He did the Super Bowl. Never done by a rapper. He just passed like 1 billion streams for the fastest for a song. Never been done. Like, it's just like he passed 100 million for the first time for like a rapper. Like, it's just like you cannot rewrite history of what that song and what that moment did for him. Yes, you feel some type of way. But this is your response to everything that happened. This is what we've been waiting for. This can't be the red button you were talking about because that was the lawsuit. Like, to drop a lawsuit and then to come back talking tough like this. They be dropping shit, but we drop harder shit. Come on, bruh. It's just not matching. That's the problem. Like, yes, like you still make good music. Yes, you're still capable of that. But the image of this untouchable tough guy who will go at anybody versus what we just saw happen to you and what you did in response, file a lawsuit, is no longer matching up. So what you're saying does not hit the same. And that's what he did. He didn't kill your career, but he definitely killed your credibility. You can no longer rap tough and have people believe you. He said, you gonna look like Daft Punk. Headshots for you, gonna have to walk around like Daft Punk because headshots for the year. And that's exactly what he did. And this is your response. Like, come on, you got to come harder than this. In a vacuum, this is a good song. This is a cool song. Like, this is that typical kind of Drake song that you like to hear, that we've always liked to hear throughout his career. A nice soulful beat, him kind of rapping and spitting and, like, you know, getting shit off his chest with a nice flow, nice little wordplay in there. Obviously some moments that are kind of like weak, whatever, but like without, you know, the context of everything that has happened over the past year, this would be a slapper. This would be a song that I'd be like, yeah, this is a dope song. This is a dope Drake song. Like another one. Like, he's got another one that is like maybe not like at the top of his list, but it's like one that, you know, I appreciate and I like and enjoy. But with the context of everything that has happened between him and Kendrick Lamar and the industry, and just pretty much his whole response to everything that has happened, to hear him come out like the way he did on this song, it just ain't matching up. It's just not matching up. Like, you can no longer talk tough. You can no longer take subliminals. You can no longer keep sneak dissing when what we saw happen. And what we saw you do, file a lawsuit, like, bro, like, you can no longer come out, talk that crazy tough guy shit. Like, you're still at the top of the game. Like, bro, he just went at you crazy. And this is your response. It's not enough. What Kendrick saying song? It's not enough. Like, yes, you still make good music, but in the context of everything that happened, it's hard not to look at you a little side-eyed. Like, this feels a little phony, a little forced, a little fake, because we seen the real you and your real response already. And this is what I was afraid he was going to do. He's going to come back out and talk his shit like nothing happened. Yeah, they drop shit, but be dropping harder shit. What you going to do? Have people on stage, have 29-year-old girls on stage twerking to a dictionary? Like, bro. One, the fact that you said 29 is also hilarious because, you know, you're bringing age to it, which I would have avoided in its entirety. Two, you're clearly talking about a certain artist who name drops you directly, and you're still sneak dissing because I don't think you really want to go another round. And it was such a weak little jab touch on the show that it's like, what? That's it? My man just called you. He just had the whole world and stadium yelling A minor in unison at the Super Bowl. 130.5 million people saying that at the same time. And that was it. That was your. That ain't it. What can I say? That ain't enough. That ain't enough. I was afraid that's how the direction he's gonna go on this entire project, but like, yeah. God damn. Gotta do better. Gotta do much better than that. That ain't it. That ain't it. Cool song, but in the context of what happened, nah, I'm gonna pass. Keeps going. Track number 11, Raining in Houston. Yes, this is much more his lane at this point that he should have stuck through this entire project, especially if this is how he was gonna start. Like, all right, I don't want to talk about the last song again, but like, this is the lane. This is the lane this should have been in. Like, continue singing to the girls and to the ladies and about situationships and just basically toxic relationships and just whatever. Like, that is what you do. That's what you're known for. Should have just stayed here. Like, this is a cool song. I really like the beat. I really like whatever sample they got going on there. Very reminds me of like 90s kind of R&B. This is a cool song. It's very much in his lane, and he should have stayed here. These American guys are just different than us. They talk looser than us. What does that even mean? What the hell is he talking about? Like, what does that even mean? Let me make sure I'm getting these lyrics right, because I don't understand what he's trying to say here. I know you like it toxic. You're used to it, love. Rather spend my energy boosting you up, gassing you up. These American guys are something different. They just talk looser than us. You say I talk proper. It suits me, my love. What?
What?
Your whole swag, your whole lingo, your whole demeanor comes from America. Comes from the South, comes from Houston, comes from Atlanta. Like, you are the chameleon. You are, at one moment you're Toronto, at one moment you're Jamaican, at one moment you're a top boy from London, at one moment you're from H-Town. Like, pick a lane. You can't come out and be like, oh yeah, these Americans talk looseness. Like, bro, you talk the exact same way. You use the lingo, you use the culture, you use the whole swag and appearance from America to do what you do. And you're out here saying like, these American guys are something different. They talk looseness. You say I talk proper. It suits me, my life. What? What does that even mean? Again, I hate bringing this back to Kendrick, but there's not an accent you can sell me. Like, bro, you are the king of that. I don't get that bar. It's a weird bar. I'm pulling strings. She could get acoustic, my love. What? Bro, he's got some weak lines on here. I'm sorry. He might need to get them writers back in the booth because he ain't really bringing it on a lyrical standpoint on this project for me. That's for sure. You and me both. You and me both. I do not see things getting much smoother for you from this point on. Yeah, I actually like the song. I like the beat. This is easily one of my favorite kind of beats from like R&B kind of standpoint that I've heard on this entire project. I think it's got a nice blend of like upbeat kind of tempo, but still bringing the vibes on this very kind of like atmospheric almost level. I just don't like what he's saying. I don't like his lyricism. I don't like any of the bars or verses that he's kind of delivering. And it's just taking me out of the song. It's taking me out of the song a bit. I don't think his pen is at the top of the game right now. It's just not, unfortunately. And it's distracting. It's definitely detracting from what could have been a much better song. Let's keep this going. Track number 12, Lasers. I've said it multiple times throughout this project, and I will reiterate my stance. This should have been a party project. This should have been a Party Next Door album, because whenever Party is on here, I think it's elevating the sound, it's elevating the feel, it's just elevating the songs to another level, and just at a point that I don't think Drake is currently at musically. I just think this should have been a party album. It could have had some Drake features throughout here, but it should have been 70-30, 70% Party, 30% Drake. And I think this would have been a much more standout kind of affair. And every time I hear Party, which we haven't heard in quite a while on these last few songs, it's just better to me. It's just better. And I think this project should have been a Party Next Door project. And I stand by that 1000%. Tough guy again. Tough guy again. It's hard to go back to the route again after what happened. Again, I like the beat. I think it's a vibe. I like Party Next Door on this song. Drake was okay on here. I don't like the tough talk anymore. It's also a weird kind of thing that he's doing. Once again, this whole Captain Save a Hole kind of aspect again. He put you through a lot, but I'm gonna bring you back around. I'm gonna save you, and then we're gonna get his name lasered off of you. Like, all right, it's kind of a weird concept. Like, this man, I'm taking you from the back, looking at his name on you. We're gonna get that lasered off. Don't worry about it. Like, he put you through a lot. Like, I'm saving you again. Like, he's doing his whole savior thing for these females once again. And it's just a very funny aspect of his career to me that I've always felt a bit corny, but it is what it is. It's what he's known for. It's what he does. It's what he's been rapping about and talking about for a long time. It doesn't seem to be something that he's not going to discuss anytime soon in his career. It's just hilarious to me. Track number 13, Meet Your Padre, featuring Chino Pacas.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Can't be serious, bro. Can't be serious. Drake is speaking Spanish now. Like, I've said this, like, Drake is speaking Spanish now. I will say it again. Drake is speaking Spanish now. Not an accent you can tell me. Like, again, a much discussed kind of aspect of Drake is that there is no identity. What is identity? He literally just hops on trends, hops on flows, hops on anything, and like brings his own kind of version to it, whether it's Afro beat, whether it's kind of that London drill sound, whether it's like Jamaican patois, whether it's like Houston kind of lingo. Like, this man will do anything. Like, props to him. Like, he'll try, go for it. But it's also like, damn, bro, like, what are you? Like, what is your identity? Like, what is your musical identity? He does not have one. He does not have one. He is whatever the artist or whatever the trend is at that moment. That is what a Drake is going to be. And obviously Latin music is having a absolutely massive moment in music right now. So I'm not surprised to see him kind of go this direction. But to hear him speaking Spanish on a song is like, what? Really? This is it. This is the route now. This is your lane back into notoriety. Like, what? I mean, as corny and as kind of comical as it is that Drake is now going this kind of Spanish Latin route, is The beat is a banger. The beat is a vibe. Like it sounds nice. It hits appropriately. That kind of Spanish Latin guitar going on in the background is a vibe. It's bringing the rhythm. Like this is a bop. Like I'm not gonna lie. As comical as it is to hear Drake speaking Spanish in this very kind of cornball way, the song goes. I cannot deny it. The song goes. I mean, again, like as corny as I think it was for Drake to kind of speak Spanish, again, this song goes. Like bringing in like those kind of Mexican sounding horns, mariachi type horns, bringing that whole kind of vibe to it. Like the dance floors would go crazy. Like I'm not gonna lie, like I've been out west in the Southwest for a long time, and this kind of goes, bro. And like I'm not gonna lie, this kind of goes. I think Party sounds great on here. I think the other dude sounds great. Drake was so what? But like this song, it's got a nice little bounce to it, and I'm really digging the production, so I can't hate too much. Like this shit kind of goes. Look, as much hate and flack as you're gonna get for latching onto another accent, another culture, another kind of musical lane, and kind of like feeding off of that because it's clearly hot at the moment, is, you know, it's going to happen. But when it sounds this good, the production is good, the bounce, the vibe of this is this good, it's hard to hate. Like if anything, at the least it'll open up the eyes and ears from other people from his kind of fan base to a different style of sound and genre and music, and kind of maybe lead them on to that as well. So that is one aspect of Drake that he gets a lot of shit and flack for hopping onto waves. He is the ultimate kind of wave rider, but kind of a consequence of that is that he also introduces that wave to a lot of other people who would not have heard of or even looked for that type of sound before. So not all bad. Like cool, open it up and have him speak Spanish is kind of like, what the fuck are we about to get into? But then once that beat dropped and the kind of guitars kind of cut in, then we get the little mariachi horns at the end. Like this shit kind of goes. I'm not gonna lie, like I would play this again. Like this is a vibe, and this can go at any party. So can't hate too much. Cannot hate too much. This shit is actually a vibe. Let's keep this going. Track number 14, Nokia. It sounds like that kind of 90s bouncy hip hop R&B kind of sound that you'd get, especially from the early 90s, that had dance floors absolutely going crazy. It actually sounds like that song from Space Jam. What was that? Find it. Like it's got that early 90s hip hop bounce to it that would have cookouts going crazy, especially down south. Let's see if I can find it. Maybe that's it. Hold on, let me rewind this back. You know what that bounce actually feels like? It actually feels like Space Jam. The song Space Jam. Like it literally feels like Space Jam. Not a song from Space Jam, but the actual song titled Space Jam. Okay. Okay, hold on. I might be onto something. Let's hear that bounce again. absolutely feels like that 90s Space Jam, 90s hip hop kind of bounce from like a song like Space Jam. It absolutely feels like that bounce. I knew I've heard it, felt that bounce before, but that's exactly what it feels like and sounds like. It's kind of dope. Not gonna lie, kind of dope. Is this Space Jam? Is this? Hold up. I might be onto something. Is it Space Jam? Like, yo, that's straight up a Space Jam kind of interpolation, flip, whatever. Like, that's got the same exact bounce. I don't care what you say. And that is a vibe, and that is dope. And like, this is easily probably the best song that I've heard on this project so far. Like, this is a hit. This is a hit. Like, this would go up in the club. Like, if this is how the first song that you've heard from Drake, like, if the beef happened and he just went away, took the year off, took the rest of that year off to just put out, to create new music, and then the first thing you hear is this hit, we'd be having a whole different conversation. But that's not what happened. But we would have had a whole different conversation because this is a hit. This right here is a hit. Yeah, this is a hit. This is a hit. Like, I wasn't sold on a beat switch at first. I thought it was kind of a weaker kind of direction they chose to go in, but it grew on me as the song went on. Like, this is also a vibe. This beat is also a vibe, and it's very synthy, very almost electronic, you know, 90s house type vibes, but it's a vibe. Like, this is a vibe. This is a hit. And like, again, if he had went away, we had never heard from him, and this is how he came back for the first time. Like, we'd be like, all right, he can still make hits. He can still make good music. Like, what? Wait, not like us. Like, who cares? Like, he making good music now. Like, let's get back to it. Like this, but because it didn't happen like that, like, this is kind of getting a little overshadowed. But this is a hit. Like, this is actually a vibe. Like, this would go up in a party. Not gonna lie. I'll give it to him. That's a hit. That's an actual hit. That's a typical kind of Drake hit that I would expect from him, that I could see, like, you know, jumping up the charts and getting a lot of play, getting, you know, used in reels and TikToks and hearing this at parties. I don't know, but like, this is a hit. Like, this is it. Like, he still got that ability clearly, but like, this is what he should have led with. This is the type of vibe he should have gone with. And like, it's also kind of weird that as this is a Party Next Door and Drake song, you don't have Party Next Door on the one actual probably hit off this entire project, and he's nowhere to be seen. Kind of interesting, kind of a weird choice. Like, why wouldn't you throw him this kind of lob, but you still use his name on this project? It's just like, all right, it's an interesting choice. Like, this is clearly the hit off this project, and he's not on here. I don't know how I feel about that if I was him, but you know, like, it's a cool song. Like, I do think this is kind of the direction I thought he was gonna go and should have gone, following everything that has happened. But probably the best song, one of the best songs off the entire project so far. But you know, there's definitely a few left, so let's keep it going. Track number 15, Die Trying. Like, this is a vibe. Like, this is a vibe. This feels good. This is a cool, feel good little song that, you know, I could see crossing over and like actually getting play like all over the place. Like, I can see it's getting a lot of placements and playlists, a lot of placements on the radio. I see this being played in a lot of different venues. Like, this is what Drake is capable of. He's capable of making songs that transcend borders and boundaries and genres and audiences, and like just can make good music. Is capable of making good music. Like, this is just good music. This is all he should have been focused on. Just make good music. Like, fuck everything else. Like, avoid the beef. Don't even talk about that shit. Just make good music. And this is good ass music. Like, this is a vibe. I'm actually liking this. Vibe. Feel good. Vibe. Another hit, another single, another song that I could definitely see doing extremely well for him, and like kind of maybe shifting the frequency and conversation surrounding him and his name. Like, this is what he should have just been doing. Just make good music. Just put out the best music you can make. And like, you're very capable of making very good music. We've seen it time and time again. And this is dope. Like, avoid, like, you don't even think about everything else happening. Just a feel good song that I can see doing extremely well. Again, following Nokia, like 2 for 2. Like these are easily 2 of my favorite songs of the entire project so far. All right, let's see if it keeps us going. Track number 16, Somebody Love Me. A vibe. Again, 3 for 3 now. 3 for 3. This is just another great song, another vibey song. Great production. Vocals are strong. I think they're kind of back and forth chemistry. They both sound good in their own right. Like subject matter's decent. It's not tapping back into issues that we no longer need to hear about between him, and like it's just like a good song, good music. Like this is it. This is what he should have been doing, and this is yet another one. He's 3 for 3 right now. These last 3 tracks, like this is another very dope song. Cool song. Again, Party sounds great. Drake sounds great. This is kind of the sound and style I was expecting pretty much through the entirety of this project, but we're getting at the tail end, and like the last 3 songs have been exactly what I would be kind of looking forward from him, especially if he's going to kind of go this more R&B route. And this is a feel good song. This is another vibe. Like this is again one of my favorite songs of this entire project. Like this is dope. Like he's on a nice little run here towards the end, but let's see if he keeps it going. Track number 17, Celibacy. I mean, again, dope song. This is the Drake that I like. This is Drake that we kind of come to know. Obviously, the subject matter is nothing new. He's kind of always this yearning, corny, low-key corny lover boy. That's kind of his lane, and he does it, extremely well because obviously it sells and is what people kind of listen to. I think the production is dope so far. It's very open, very kind of like laid back, but allows like his vocals to do a lot of the melody work here. And I think he did pretty well. I think it's just a vibe. It's a vibe so far. And like, again, this second half, this last ending, like last kind of like few songs towards the end of this whole entire project have been some of the best for me so far. Yeah, I mean, cool song. Very, very well constructed, put together song. They both kind of did their own thing. They basically had like their own separate differing parts that came together as one whole. Production was solid. I think vocals were, up to par with what they kind of deliver. Subject matter was, to be expected, but I'm like, cool song. Like this is good music. Like this is music that Drake has been known to make and that people have loved, that I personally loved and I've enjoyed. And like this is just yet another offering kind of that extensive pile of good music that he's had throughout his career. And this is kind of the sound and style that I was expecting for the majority of this project, but unfortunately we haven't got that for the majority of this project. But like he's on a nice little tear towards the end. Let's keep just going. Track number 18, OMW. Which I'm assuming is On My Way. I just keep waiting for a drop. I keep waiting for a drop. I think the production is dope. I actually think the buildup is crazy. Like I was expecting a drop much sooner than this, but like it's cool. Like I like the buildup. I like the production. It's really like creating this sense of anticipation. I thought that we can get like a hard ass drop in here, which we have not gotten, which you might get, even though there's like a minute left. But it's a cool song. I think a drop would be nice. Yeah, I mean, cool song. I was really hoping and expecting for a drop somewhere in there. It was basically like 4 minutes of musical edging, like a lot of buildup and anticipation to no payoff, which is an interesting kind of choice. I do like where they were going with the production. I do like the song in general. I just think a drop was very much needed and a change up in there, but it is what it is. Let's keep just going. Track number 19, Glorious. I mean, I was not sold at first. I was very much thinking this felt like a very unfinished, almost demo. Like the beat felt unfinished in some type of manner. It felt like unpolished, but I very much appreciated the switch up that we got here. It was very much needed because I was very close to just skipping this song. I don't know. It's okay. There's some elements in there that I liked. I think the second half beat and production was much more, but which was much improved over the first half. And I do think there were some certain elements in here, but overall, it just felt like an unfinished kind of track that could have done without. Let's keep going. Track number 20 when he's gone. I mean, it's cool. It's a decent song. Feels like a typical kind of Party Next Door affair song single. Nothing new, nothing certainly exciting. Kind of like a male Summer Walker. Clearly talking about like somebody who broke up or just got out of a relationship and trying to give them advice, or kind of basically trying to slide in and take that kind of place. But like, yeah, it's typical kind of party affair. Nothing mind blowing. Let's go to the last track, Greedy. I mean, kind of so far that typical slow burn Drake R&B kind of track where he's pining about some lost love or some forbidden love, some girl that's maybe got like another man, something like some sort of like kind of situationship, but it's very much in his lane and very much what he's done pretty much for the majority of his career. And it's so far, it's very typical affair. Not bad, but very typical. Like I said, him basically being in some situationship for some girl he's not supposed to be dealing with, since we're creeping on the down low. Like very, very typical Party and Drake fare so far. All right, that's it for Party Next Door, Drake, Some Sexy Songs for You. Greedy was, you know, typical kind of Party and Drake fare where they're pining about some forbidden love, some girl that they're both being on the down low with, and kind of like, you know, some toxic situationship, basically. Typical Drake and Party fare, a low-key underwhelming kind of end to this project, but overall kind of sums up my feelings about this project, is that it's low-key underwhelming. Like as highly anticipated as this project could have been, as a direct follow-up to everything that has kind of been going on in Drake's career and life, with the whole back and forth between Kendrick Lamar, the industry, and everything, all the ups and downs of this past year. For this to be the first project that we hear from him is underwhelming. It's just strictly underwhelming. It's not necessarily a bad project, but it ain't a good project either. Like, this is easily probably one of the worst projects that he's had out of his entire discography. I would have to go through it once again, but like, just off the top of my head, I can't really think of too many projects that I enjoyed less than this one from Drake. And that is kind of, you know, saying a lot, because he has put out a lot of music, and, you know, considering the situation and all the context surrounding this release, to have this be how he came back, not how I wanted him to come. Like, I personally would have thought he would have came in a much more aggressive, hard-hitting, in your face, I still make hits type of way. But no, he went this kind of R&B, slowed down, mellow route, which, you know, isn't necessarily the worst choice because it is also in his bag, but he didn't really deliver any R&B or any type of songs that are so stand out as like to change and shift the overall feeling and conversation of his music and just his current state and predicament. Quite honestly, like, there are definitely some standouts from this album. I think Nokia is a hit. I think Die Trying is also possibly a hit. I like Somebody Loves Me. Like, there's definitely songs on here that I enjoyed. There's some very dope moments on here, but I think those moments are far and few in between. I think the majority of this is just mediocre. If the first half of this kind of project didn't feel like Take Care leftovers, then the second half felt like, you know, typical Party Next Door leftovers. Like, it just felt like these are all things that we've heard from both of them before. And then the fact that this was much more of a Drake project than a Party project kind of felt like a little bait and switch, because to have Party be kind of like the headliner, to be the first billing on this project, and then for him to get like the least amount of work on here, to have the least amount of songs, the least amount of features, when in terms of the two, is kind of like, I wish it was 70% Party or 60% Party and 30 or 40% Drake. I think that would have been a much more reasonable kind of pairing on this kind of outing, and like I think it would have been a much more enjoyable project, quite honestly. Like if Party did most of the heavy lifting here and Drake just kind of like, you know, added on. There are also moments on here where I didn't really want to hear. Like I didn't want to hear give me a hug. I didn't want to hear tough talk. I didn't want to hear you saying fuck a rap beef, I'm trying to get the party lit, but then you also throw in sneak disses and subliminals. Like we've seen how things played out. Like that is no longer going to work. Like you can't keep throwing subs, you can't talk tough, you can't do all this stuff now, because we've seen you've been exposed, you can bleed, Superman can bleed. And like the fact that that is how you chose to kind of respond to everything that's happened so far was very weak and very weak and very, I don't even know what the word for it is. I was weak, like it was just a very weak jab, very weak kind of response to everything that's happened to this point. If you're not going to, if that's the manner in which you were going to respond to this entire situation, I really wish he just wouldn't have responded at all and would have just did this other kind of route, stuck this R&B mode, stuck to this lane that he knows. Also on top of that, like he's been in the game for almost 20 years now, and the fact that like the subject matter, the topics are still basically at the same point that they've been for the entirety of his career, and he's almost pushing 40, is also a bit weird and a bit sad and a bit like, when are we getting something new? I was hoping to see a little bit of evolution. Like obviously your sound is your sound, your fans like what they like obviously don't switch up completely with the things that got you here, but I would have liked to see some self-awareness, some growth, some evolution. But no, he's still stuck on topics and subject matters as if he was like a 20-year-old dude still running around in the clubs every single night, which is fine. I mean, there's definitely an audience for that, but me personally, I wish there was a little bit deeper, a little bit more depth to anything here. But overall, like it was actually a decent project. I don't think it was as bad as some people have kind of painted it out to be, but it's definitely not anywhere towards the top of his catalog or his best work, and is not the type and quality of level I would have expected for somebody who has been battered, who has been through so many kind of issues over this past year as he has. I think that you would want to put out your absolute best work that you can at that point to remind people like you are still that guy, but this ain't it. I don't think this is going to change the conversation in any way, shape, or form. And it's really kind of has me wondering and questioning if he even has that kind of next gear to even get to, or if this is pretty much all we have seen and come to know and will have to come to expect from Drake in the future. Overall, decent album. Not one I will see myself kind of replaying with any kind of frequency. There are some moments here, but pretty much lackluster from an overall kind of standpoint, and underwhelming for somebody to have this be the first like real collection of music to come out since, you know, the whole Kendrick Lamar debacle that was 2024. But you guys let me know what you kind of think about sexy songs for you. Do you wish there was more Party Next Door in here? Do you wish he went a little harder? Did you want to hear him go kind of this R&B route, or did you want him to directly respond to everything that's happened, or just move on from it? Does this kind of get you excited for the future of his music and what is to come, or are you kind of just over it? Let me know in the comments wherever you're like watching or listening to this in the past.